Hey you guys, Blessed White Joe here with a top 8 deck profile from Torres himself. He's done it again, wrecking another PPG with a very innovative deck. This time he's chosen to play Pure Burning Abyss. And before I get right into it, I'm going to go ahead and give a couple quick shout outs. Shout out to my sponsors as you see on the screen, Pandemonium Gaming, Midwest Gaming, and T4T Gaming. I should have a link to all three below in my description. Also, shout out to PPG for allowing me to commentate and having me on as one of their consistent commentators, whether they fly me out or do it through remote duels. I really appreciate them because they always keep me in thought and always keep me in mind. So shout out to them for that. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into deck profile. Also in the comment section below, I want you guys to let me know. Is my volume better? Is it too loud now? I know in the couple previous of the last videos, you guys said it was too quiet. So, I'm trying to kind of mix and match what all you guys hear from your cell phones, laptops, TVs, etc. Like I said, that being said, I'm just going to jump right into the deck profile now. So starting off for the main deck monsters, for BA monsters, he plays 3 Seer. We're all excited that this guy came off the ban list. We kind of needed him. He was very important to the deck. 3 Seer, 3 Farfa, and 3 Graph, 1 Libic, and 3 Skarm. So that's pretty good. He plays 3 of all the important monsters: 3 Seer, 3 Farfa, 3 Graph, 3 Skarm, and 1 Libic. A lot of people had cut down Skarm because they felt like she was a little slower. But with this kind of BA deck you're playing, you're getting to multiple turns, and you're trying to tutor out into your tour guide as soon as you can. With that being said, another 3F he played 3 tour guide from the Underworld. Tour guide's just the best normal summon you have in your deck, and he played double Rhino Warrior, seeing as he didn't want too many normal summons in his deck. And he also played some Spice. He played double Neon. I'll get into why he played double Neon real quick. But another thing is why he only played 2 Rhino Warrior. You don't want too many normal summons in your deck on top of having all those hand traps. And Rhino Warrior isn't like a tour guide. It's not a 1 card start your combo. It's what you summon off a tour guide, or it's your Squamata in a sense. Going on to the Virtual World Jaime Neon. He plays 2 of this. If you guys don't know, if there's a loop with this and another card, he plays Mischief of the Gnomes. So when you make Beatrice, the first thing you're sending on your opponent's turn, you're sending Mischief on your opponent's turn, and you're banishing Mischief on your opponent's turn. And that's going to make them pass back to you when you're playing against decks like Virtual World, etc. So when they pass back to you on your turn, you use Beatrice to send Neon. It gets you a level 3 extender, and it reshuffles Mischief back in your deck. And then on their turn again, you use Beatrice again to send Mischief again. So you're just Mischief looping them over and over and over. So it's like really, really scary to see that happen if you're playing Virtual World. We actually saw him just win game 1 all right. He was playing against Ruben Pernada. Game 1, he just literally sent Mischief. Mischief looped him game 1. Ruben couldn't do anything at all. So yeah, he played double Neon for that reason. People were wondering why he played it. It's a really good extender. And then he played Edge of Sambris. This card's really good as well. It allows him to stack cards like the Red Eyes bricks that he draws. And he also played cards like Sekka's Life. So if he had Red Eyes Fusion, Sekka Light in his hand, he was able to put it back. I probably would have played, if I was Andreas and I was playing this deck, I probably would have played a Psychic Wielder over this. That's just my personal preference, just because I could have comboed with Psychic Wielder plus Neon. But this does more from graveyard, whereas you're trying to hit stuff from graveyard. So I could see this being better. And like I said, Andres is more than likely just better than me with this deck than I am. So that's just my thought of what I would have taken. But it's the reason he did so well with the deck. For hand traps, it seems like he played a lot of hand traps. For the main deck, he played 3 Droll and Lockbird, seeing as this is very impactful versus Drytron. Dragon Link, it's also very impactful versus, but against Virtual World, it's kind of average. It turns off Lulu and Qinglong, but they have to already, have resolved one of those prior. And then he plays 3 Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom has always just been good overall during the format. It's just a generic card. The only times we dropped Ash Blossom out of our format was when we were only playing very specific hand traps, when it wasn't the amount of hand traps you were playing, it was the impact they had on your opponent's board. So it really went from Ash Blossom, Veiler, and stuff like that, Phantasmate, to stuff like Gamma, Nibiru, etc. But Ash Blossom is seen to make its way back in the format with more decks being fair, very simple and consistent. That's more where like we're headed. We're heading to more of like a consistent format where if your deck can consistently do what it's supposed to do, you should be fine. So Ash Blossom is very good in that sense. On top of the Ghost Sisters, we play 3 Ghost Bell. This is a very strong card that's also risen in popularity now that Drytron has coming out. And like I said, Virtual World has gotten more cards. It stops Lao Lao, it stops their new Resurrection Trap, it stops their new Monster, stops Nadir Servant, Scarlet Sanguine, Mediana's Drytron, it stops Drytron, Gamma, Thubin. It's just really good. Ghost Bell is just a really good card. Being able to stop Nadir Servant too. Ice Dragon Prison. There's just a lot in the format that it can just protect you from, as well as hinder your opponent from using. So I definitely play this Ghost Bell like in a lot of my majority of my main decks right now. I'm also being able to stop the activation of cards like Schism in your stall matchup, where Schism is mainly what they abuse, and like Ghost Bells just get Schism off the field, so you don't need cards like Ogre, etc., etc. But on top of 3 Ghost Bell, he also plays 3 Ghost Ogre. He feels like this is just getting rid of him the card. We saw him Ghost Ogre, a Cursed Eldlin actually ended up winning him the game. He Ghost Ogre to Cursed Eldlin just to be able to protect his Dragoon. He wanted to make sure his opponents just didn't have access to Lord, so that his Dragoon could negate, more average cards, less problematic cards, or less threats to Dragoon on his turn. That way he didn't get baited into like using his negate and then get his Dragoon set from Lord. On top of that, he also has 2 Skullmeister. Skullmeister is really good, really impactful. The only things that advantages Ghost Bell has over Skullmeister is that Ghost Bell stops all those cards I named, whereas Skullmeister stops cards that Ghost Bell doesn't stop, like the Qinglong. What else does it stop? It'll stop even it's kind of hard to put in words. It'll stop less but more, if you know what I mean. I feel like it stops the bigger effects. Or the more specific effects that you want to stop, you know what I mean? Like, let's say like Farfa, stuff like that. Just an example, to where you want to do stuff like that where Ghost Bell just doesn't. Sometimes you just need graveyard negates, and I think that's what he put. Because BA is not a deck that just inherently puts up negates. So, with that being said, you have to have hand traps to back up your negates. Just because you can't play actual trap cards in your main deck because you want to resolve all your BA effects from hand. On top of the double Skullmeister, the generic bricks he played were like Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, Mischief of the Gnomes. These are kind of like his garnets he played. You can count Red Eyes Fusion as one of his garnets, but like it actually just won him a game because he hard drew this by itself, and he just had to play with this instead of these. He couldn't play with BA cards because of VFD, but he could activate Red Eyes Fusion and get Dragoons on board just through the VFD. And just be allowed to live another turn just because he drew the Red Eyes Fusion. So Red Eyes Fusion is like sometimes, like 90% of the time, it's not a card you want to have in your open hand. You gotta have something else. But the times you do draw it, it's like, man, I think I drew this card during the times where my opponent has like 5 hand traps or 3 or 4 hand traps. You know what I mean? And them not being able to hand trap anything is just really killer. And he also plays 1 Seconds Light. This is really cool because if you open a Seconds Light, you're making the Anaconda. You're making Dragoon through Anaconda. You're not actually using Red Eyes Fusion spell. Or if you draw the Red Eyes Fusion and the Seconds Light, you can still use Red Eyes Fusion with the Anaconda. So like it's really, really good. That's it for the main deck. Main deck was 35 monsters, 1 trap, 2 vanillas, and then, well, actually, no, so 37 monsters. 37 monsters, 2 spells, 1 trap. Going into the side deck, a lot of you guys have a lot of questions about why he played specific stuff and why didn't he play certain stuff. So you played Nail Shadal Ariel. This card's really good because you're sitting it off of cards like Beatrice. So like you're always getting to you're always getting the banish 3 cards whenever you want. So it's kind of like a trigger. And you basically, with having this in your deck as well, you basically have Farfa for on-board banishing and Ariel for your graveyard banishing effects, because a lot of decks revolve around the graveyard nowadays. Besides the one crescendo, it's to search Cycle Reader. Like I said, it's pretty much the same thing as Beatrice sending Mischief of the Gnomes. You're sending Crescendo, so you can banish Crescendo and add back Cycle Reader. He plays double Cycle Reader. He only plays 2 instead of 3 because the third one is Crescendo. He plays triple Lancia, which is really good versus Virtual World. Everybody knows why this is good. It's alright. It's subpar versus like Eldritch, but it's like amazing versus Virtual World. He plays 1 Feather Duster, 1 Lightning Storm, and 3 Twin Twisters. He's not that afraid of back row decks, but he is prepared for them. Usually, if you're afraid of back row decks, your deck wants to consist of at least like 7 to 8 cards to stop the back row decks, just because they have a higher chance of drawing back row cards than you do of drawing your side deck, because their main deck's already fitted to have back row in it. And then my favorite card of Andreas' deck the entire weekend was Torrential Tribute. I saw this card blow out a lot of greedy people. Torrential just stops people whenever they overextend. A lot of people would have game on board and just overextend into Torrential because they would think it's like a schism set in the back or something, or like some not relevant. But whenever Andreas set a card, it was Torrential, because he's not going to set anything can't use and turn his BA effects off for the rest of the turn. I mean, for the rest of the duel. So they probably should have knew that off bat. It's pretty much it for the side deck. We saw Torrential coming up a lot in a lot of the top decks. I do think it's one of the sleeper cards to this format. I think like Dynamiscus, Torrential Tribute, those are some of the better cards to the format that a lot of people blink an eye at and just read because they're trap cards. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it for the main deck right now. We're going to go into the extra deck. 1 Trish the Dragon of the Ice Barrier. For people wondering how you make this, he makes this with 1 Tour Guide and a Neon on board, or like any tuner, or like 1 Tour Guide, Neon, like pretty much anything. Use any of the Ghost Sisters, Rhino Word, Cherubini. He's not worried about his stuff dying. He actually had it multiple times on stream when we featured him to summon Trishula, and we were literally just screaming, "Just please do it!" And he just never summoned it. It would have been really cool. He actually lost a couple games that he didn't summon it, but he also won the majority of the games too as well. Going into Zeus. 1 Beatrice, 1 Downer, only 2 Dante, just as they recur themselves. And you play a lot of BA names now, especially with Cherubini. You don't really need Dante himself, as he's only getting you to Beatrice. 1 Pilgrim, 1 Dragoon, 1 Boral Sword, and he plays the Pilgrim because he plays the Beatrice. And if you're playing pure BA, it's pretty much worth it to have your Beatrice float into a Dante. 1 Boral Sword, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Unicorn, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, only 1 Cherubini, 1 Anaconda, and 1 IP. IP, Anaconda, like he just plays really good utility monsters in his extra deck. I think like these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of his, you can even count Zeus, 8 and Downer. So like 9 out of his 15 monsters of his extra deck are just generically good. They've been in pretty much everything. Even this format, they've been in pretty much almost all the top decks. And then the other 6 cards are just like BA affiliated cards, and then Trishula herself. You know, Trishula is pretty much just like spice anybody's throwing on like their deck whenever they want to finish top off with some nice icing. But thoughts on BA this format? I think it's really cool. I think it's one of those sleeper decks. I don't think it's like the best deck of the format by far. I think it's always super consistent with Tour Guide being at 3, Seer and Grab being at 3. You can pretty much pick what BAs you want to play now. You can go in like Trap BA, Cookie Cutter BA, Hand Trap BA, BA PK. But as you see, Andres chose to play Hand Trap BA. He thought it was a little bit more consistent. He thought it was a little bit more able to do better going second versus decks. As you're just trying to Boros or Beatrice if you're going second. That's pretty much it, you guys. Like I said, got a lot more videos for you guys. Tried to get every deck for you guys from the PPG remote duels I was just commentating. That's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure all your friends are checking out the channel. Trying to get up all the fire content for you, all the video, and I'm trying to make sure I have it all first for you guys. With that being said, you guys, bless you. Signing out. Peace.